Hey everybody, Liz Houts from Cats in Action in Chicago. We're going to talk today about setting a TruCatch feral cat trap. So this trap in front of me is a TruCatch standard 30 LTD trap. It's 30 inches long and the LTD refers to light duty. So if you are trapping cats, you want to make sure that you get a trap that's specifically designed for that use. So it's not too small and the cat's crowded in the trap, or it's too large and the trap doesn't trigger. So TruCatch traps, and that's TruCatch, are in my opinion the best traps on the market. They are very safe for cats, they're well made, and as you can see, this trap is coated brown, so it's a little bit smoother than other traps, and it doesn't have sharp edges because that coating kind of protects the metal. You have this plate here which protects your hand from any cat trying to reach through or potentially bite. So it is very safe for human beings. And you can also write your name, your contact information on this plate if you are setting the trap at a location where you can't be watching it the entire time. So this is the back door of the trap, and this hinge fits over the piece on the back, and that locks the trap. Now if you didn't have it over that hinge, the cat can actually push it open. So it's very important when you set the trap to make sure that it's in the locked position. Okay? This is the front end of the trap. These are the two rings which are gravity fed. So to open this door, you pull those two rings up together at the same time, and then you reach in until the door is about horizontal, and that's going to be the open position. Now, if you look at this long piece here, this is the trip rod. So that piece is going to connect to the door, and it's going to trigger the trip plate. So you can see it's attached to a chain, and then there's a plate, which is called the trip plate. That's what the cat steps on to trigger the trap and close the door. Okay? So in order to actually set the trap, we reach in, and as you can see, this trip rod moves, okay? So all you're going to do is move this about 90 degrees so that the door piece just rests right in front of it. So it should kind of look like a cross, and that's the perfect position to set your trap. So as you can see, when you did that, this trip plate actually raised up. So this isn't flat on the ground anymore. This raised up a little bit, okay? And this is what the cat is going to step on. So make sure that you have the supplies that you'll need. Bait. I use tuna fish because it's nice and fragrant. And mix it with a little bit of pate cat food to give it some stickiness. And that's what I use for my bait. Now you can use just about anything. Some people use sardines or mackerel or something that's very fragrant. You can also just use regular cat food. That's usually fragrant enough. I've known people to even use Kentucky Fried Chicken. So whatever your cats like is what you can use. Okay? Have some newspaper on hand. Now, I like to fold my newspaper so it's a little thinner and it just slides better into the trap. You'll want some tape in order to tape down the newspaper. And then you're going to want a cover, okay? The cover is very important because that will keep the animal calm once it goes into the trap. And then I use a little piece of cardboard at the end of the trap so that the main chunk of bait goes on top of the cardboard. It's just a little bit sturdier to hold that. You definitely do not want to use any bowls or plates, anything that's ceramic, glass, even metal that's hard, because a cat can thrash around once it's trapped, and you don't want anything it can knock into. So I put my food directly on the newspaper, as I'm going to show you. Okay, so we open the back door, slide in the newspaper, and then I put this little cardboard piece right at the end, okay? Now, if you're trapping inside of a home or somewhere where there isn't any wind, you don't really need tape, but really anywhere outside, even if it seems like a calm day, I would use some tape just to make sure that everything stays in place. So what can happen, if it gets windy, the newspaper will jostle around, it will get all disheveled, it will throw the food off, and it will scare the cat. So really important that everything stays in place. Okay. And then we tape the two pieces together. And then take the end of the newspaper underneath the trap, just like that. Okay. Now I have seen some folks, instead of newspaper, put something hard on top of it to hold it in place, like a rock or bricks or something like that. We really try to avoid anything inside the trap because you don't want the cat to get injured. Okay? So once you have the newspaper and the cardboard all in place, now you're ready to put your bait in. You really don't need that much bait. It's really just to entice the cat. You don't want them to have an entire meal. So the main chunk of bait has to be all the way in the back, okay? The cat has to come all the way in and step on the trip plate, and you want them to have to come all the way to the back, okay? So I put a little bit of bait right on the tip of the trip plate as well. And then I put tiny little pieces of bait, kind of like breadcrumbs, that will lead the cat into the trap. You want to make sure that you don't put too much food in the beginning of the trap because you don't want the cat to have an entire meal on the way in. I've seen cats nibble the food from the beginning of about 5 different traps and then go away when they're full. You can also extend your food outside of the trap so that you're luring the cat from further away. That's also very effective. And if you have a can of cat food or a can of tuna, you can dribble that juice on the newspaper. And that's extremely fragrant, but they can't really eat it. So that's a great way to kind of create an enticing trail into the trap. Okay, so remember, lock your trap at the back. So the cat will enter from this end and it will start to nibble the food. It will get about this far. It'll start to depress the trip plate. And if you keep your eye on the front of the trap, that's how the trap deploys, okay? So these 2 rings, as I mentioned, these are gravity fed. If you happen to get a cat that's standing right in the doorway of the trap, say you have 2 cats and one of them followed each other, that happens a lot with kittens. This door is just going to kind of bounce off them and either push them into the trap or they might kind of escape this way, but this door is not going to injure them. If you are in a position to be watching as the cat goes into the trap, you can set it up just like this without a cover on it because as soon as that cat goes in, you can rush over and you can put the cover on. If you're just checking your trap periodically and you don't have your eyes on it the entire time, I would suggest setting it up ahead of time with the cover on it. Okay. So I like to pull it up in the back so that the cat can see all the way through. And it looks like there's an escape route. Cats are a little bit shy about going into something that seems like it's a little claustrophobic and maybe there's not a way out. So for that reason, I pull up the cover in the back. Okay? And then once your cat goes in, pull the cover all the way down on both sides. Sometimes the cats just continue eating. They're not too disturbed when the door deploys. Sometimes they can really freak out. They can thrash around back and forth. And you don't want that to go on for too long. Really, right away, you want to put your cover on because that will calm them down. For more videos on Trap-Neuter-Return and feral cat colony management, subscribe to this channel.